Hi guys, and welcome to another Lightroom tutorial. My name is Viola. I'm a beauty photographer based in Austria, and today I'm gonna give you a quick little Lightroom room tour. So basically we're gonna go through all of the basic settings and the changes that you can make to an image, and yeah, let's get right into it. So today we're gonna be working on this photo. This is the final Lightroom edit that I did, and this is the full before, like the straight out of camera photo. So we're gonna take it from this to this right here with just a couple clicks. So I did use my presets to go from this to this, but my presets are just to make your editing process quicker, and it's absolutely not necessary to use any presets at all. So yeah, I'm just gonna show you how we are editing this in Lightroom. So let's go back to the raw picture. After I've imported, the next thing I do is I select certain images that I want to edit, and then I don't select the images that I want to leave out, but not completely delete yet. So as you can see down here, I always select the images that I want to work on with 5 stars. You can just do that with the 1 to 5 numbers on your keyboard, and then you can select your stars here. And these are all of the photos that I ended up picking for editing. And yeah, we're gonna start on this photo right here. I'm not gonna go through all of them obviously, but just so you can see what my normal editing process looks like. And then we're just gonna head right into the basic settings. And here you can basically adjust the temperature of a photo. You can also pick this one and make it like as close to a neutral color as possible. And then you can also do the hue of the photo. And then obviously these are kind of self-explanatory. Light makes it brighter or darker. Contrast, obviously we know this one. And then we have the lights and then the whites. These are very similar, but as you can see, they still brighten up different parts of the image. So yeah, let's set this back to 0, and then we have the depths. I like to use the depths to darken hair, especially on colors like this one. I just think it makes it look a little bit more richer. And then the blacks, obviously, like the very dark parts, I only work on those a little bit. And then we have structure. I never really touched this. And then clarity. Clarity you can't really see from further away, but let's turn it up really drastically. Yeah, this is not the look we're going for, but if you zoom in and you only do like a small clarity change, like let's do 10, then you can see that the eyelashes and stuff get like slightly sharper, and that's what I personally like to use to just bring out the details a bit more. Next one we have the curves. This one I actually never touch because this one is perfectly set out in my presets, but you can basically here play with the light again. On the normal one, then you have the 3 basic colors, red, green and blue, and then it's newer, but you can drag it into the blue or the yellow hues here, for example, or green and purple, or red and cyan. Yeah, so that's what that does. Let's go into the HSL sliders next. This one is also in most presets. These two are preset, not only in mine obviously, but here you can change the colors of the image a bit more closely than with the curves. Let's focus on the orange. The orange is typically the color that affects the skin tones, and so you can see that the color hue here is changed from red to green. We can also change the saturation here, and obviously this works with any of those colors as well. This is super practical also for product photography, especially for example if you have a blue packaging and you really want to bring it out, you just turn up the saturation of the blue and there you go. Next up we have color grading. Same similar thing as HSL sliders, again just even more fine tuning that you can do here, but yeah, again set in most presets. Next up we have details. You can sharpen the image here again. Let's zoom in again, so we can either leave it at 0 or we can really bring it out. I think this almost looks like a pencil drawing kind of. It's not really my vibe, but if you need a super sharp image, this also helps a bit. And then if you have a really grainy photo, you could reduce the grain here, but there's no grain in this image, so it won't really show up. Next up we have, this one is actually pretty important. It's the corrections, the lens corrections. You always should turn this one on. On this photo you won't see much difference because this was taken on a 105mm lens, but if you're using a 35mm lens, for example, this one is gonna change drastically because it goes, I don't know if you can see, let me yeah, no, this one actually doesn't change at all, but the vignette we can see a little bit. Like focus on the corners right here. On this side it's darker, and on this side it's very slightly brighter. Again, this lens is probably not the best way to demonstrate this because there's so little distortion, but on a 35mm lens, on both of these you would see a big difference, and it's really important in my opinion to take care of this, because you don't want on a portrait to like have the nose really big and the ears like really far pulled back, and this can help with that, the lens corrections. And then transform, this obviously can do all sorts of crazy things. Wouldn't play with that too much unless you're again working on products and you need to straighten them out or something. Effects is this one I wouldn't touch really, and then you have the grain here. As you can see, this would give your photo like a really filmy look if you want that. And then down here we have calibrations. This again is dependent on your camera. You can select different versions here. And then again, it's similar to color grading and HSL. You just move the sliders into the direction that you want. And if your camera has like a slight green or purple hue, for example, then you could correct that. And yeah, basically that's it. Let's hop onto these 4 up here. The first one is just a cropping tool. You can select different crops that you want. If you're posting on Instagram, you can use 1x1 or 4x5, or in stories or other social media, you could use this one. Or you could also just use your original one, drag it around, make it bigger or smaller, whatever you want. Here we have the healing brush. Here, let me zoom in. Okay, so let's focus on this little spot right here. You just select it and then it copies something over it, and then you can either use copy stamp. Copy stamp is a bit harsher, and this one over here just makes it look a little bit more blended in. And then we have eye correction. This one shouldn't really be used too much, in my opinion. Red eyes only show up if you use flash on portraits, and it's like a really, like everything has to match to get red eyes on a photo. But if there were red eyes, you could just use this and then select the eye, and then it would get rid of any red tints and just make them kind of gray. And then over here we have the brush, and you can select automatically or not select automatically. I'm just gonna not select automatically so we can see a bit of a difference here, and then just select. You can mark your selection or demark it with the key O on your keyboard. So if I press O, then it shows up where I selected, and if I press O again, then it disappears, but it's still there. And again, you can just change up these things here a bit more in depth. We could, for example, let's delete this. We could work on the eyes here and just make them like brighter and sharper. I don't know, whatever you want to do. This is, again, not the best example, but that's just basically how everything works in Lightroom. Alright, and that's the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. If you have any specific questions, please check out my YouTube channel. I have a lot of more in-depth tutorials on there. You can also leave a question down below if I haven't made a video about it yet, and I'm happy to help. And I will also link my online Lightroom masterclass down below, where I go into all of these things very much in detail and actually show you how to get this final result. It's about an hour long, but you actually find out every little thing that you need to know. And this, again, was just a brief overview. I hope it helped you. And again, leave any questions that you have below. And I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Bye!